the haunted backroads of America and live from the G&D Show studio, this is your GhostMan&Demon Hunter Show.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only, mystifying Oracle of Radio, your GhostMan&Demon Hunter show. Demon Hunter!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There you are. I was afraid you weren't going to put the microphone up to your mouth.
I was trying to get into the chat room here.
Chat room. Anyway, special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher, Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you guys listening? Because they want to know, so check them out at actionaudioapps.com. Paranormal A. Hey, our buddies in Canucktown. Thanks, guys, for being so cool. The SYL Project, share your love today. The SYLproject.com. Ooh, I think I'm getting faster at that. I do. I think I'm getting faster at that. Did you log into chat? It's a big night. It's probably going to be overloaded tonight, huh?
You think so?
I don't know. Probably not, but I can say that. Anyway, guys, welcome back. We have been off for a weekend. We get vacations, too. Yes, folks, we do. I just got back from, actually, it kind of ties into tonight's guest, Nathan.
It does?
What I was doing a little bit of. It was kind of recreational, but I also threw in, you know how we do with the show. We throw in some work, even on vacation when we can, booking guests and whatnot. So I was actually on the trail. I didn't even know it. On the trail, the skunk ape. Yeah. I was.
You stink?
Of course, I was a little smelly, but of course,
it was just to attract it, right?
It was. That's what I was trying to do. I didn't wash for 2 or 3 days. We were actually out fishing, so I did stink to high heaven. But they took us to. I was actually talking to the guy that I went out fishing with, and he had taken us to some of the islands out there. He had his boat, and we were going out, and they had these little islands out way out in the ocean there. And nobody was on them. You could see, where the kids put together fire pits and stuff, which would be cool as can be, man. Can you imagine living out there when you were in college or high school? But take Dad's boat out there. But anyway, yeah.
Like a rock star?
Yeah, like a rock star. But we were fishing, guys, right off out in Port Richey, Florida there. And, of course, we knew, because we've covered the story here before, I knew that the skunk ape is something they see in Florida quite a bit.
It is?
Yeah, different states have different names. You know that.
Who would have known?
Cave yeller, stuff like that. The Falk monster. A lot of people have different names for the big guy, big gal, whatever it is. And it was kind of creepy because we were out there on the water and we were fishing, and we'd caught a shark. We caught a 4-foot, it wasn't a reef shark, it was a lemon shark. And I brought it up in the boat. And I remember thinking, well, if this one's out there has to be another one. And I knew you would freak because when I was bringing it up, because Nathan, Shadow Nation, first-time listeners, you don't know Nathan, scared to death of sharks.
Who ever said such a thing?
I know. So anyway, I bring it up in the boat. Of course, the one thing you don't want to do, it snaps the line. It's flopping around inside the boat. And you've seen the YouTube videos where people get bit. But I didn't. I had a fishing net and got the shark in the net and let it go, and it was awesome.
You used a net.
And then my cousin.
Girly man.
I did. Oh, yeah.
Grab
like
that
you would.
Shark with one hand.
Like you would touch the shark. Would you? Would you have touched the shark?
I touched the shark.
You wouldn't have touched the shark.
With a bullet.
Oh. Anyway, my cousin was out there. He said, hey, you know about the skunk ape because you got the weird show that you've done, you and Nathan for all these years. Maybe you guys, have you ever tracked the skunk ape? And I said, no. We've tracked a lot of things, never the skunk ape per se. And he said, well, that island over there. And I mean, it was creepy, man. It was off in the distance. It kind of looked like Skull Island from King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Not as big, really, and not as spooky, but you can get what I mean, right? Yeah, Skull Island.
I understand, sir. Okay. I understand.
Terrific. So anyway, we went out there and we made a V-line for the island, and we got there, and it was just getting dark. And my cousin was kind of new to the boat. He had just bought this boat, and
He was nude on the boat?
yeah,
What kind of boat was this that your cousin was walking around nude?
We were both nude, actually. On the boat. Everybody on there was nude, but no, we had clothes on. But we did stop at this island, and we looked for, I was looking for prints and stuff like that. Of course, I didn't find nothing. But one of the funny things, when I was walking around there at night, now you hear a lot of stuff, but you know how they always say Sasquatch has been known to throw rocks, twigs, hit on trees, right?
Yeah.
I did while I was out there, and I'm
It's
not
referred to as knocking.
Yes, knocking. What's the rock throwing referred to as?
Bitchiness.
Or just rock throwing. That's what I thought you'd go. What a bitch you Sasquatch. Anyway, we were out there, and we were on the beach area. We hadn't gone back in the jungle or whatever that is there, the wooded area. And I heard a rock hit a tree.
Really?
Yeah, now we yelled out and stuff like that. I didn't see any other boats or nothing like that. And this is a small island. I mean, this isn't, you can walk from one side to the other. And yeah, I heard a rock hit a tree. Now, it could have been, I didn't see any coconuts or anything like that falling out of the trees. But yeah, I heard it. We got out pretty fast. Great white monster hunter, huh?
Very cool. You are the typical great white monster hunter. You went out with great intention and came back with absolutely nothing but a rock.
I didn't even get the rock. I had the rock experience. It was kind of spooky, though, being out there on the ocean at sundown. And boy, does that sun go down fast when you need to get back. But it does. It does. You've seen some of the videos.
You can watch. You can have your watch there and watch the second hand. Hold it up to the sun while it's going down, and you're watching the sun go down with the second hand.
Yeah, it goes down quick. Hey, you were out but that was my skunk ape experience. Didn't smell anything, but had that little thing. Could have been an encounter. Might not have been. Probably was.
A lot of people thought they smelled the skunk ape, but Sean had just taken his shoes off.
Yeah, actually, I got out of the boat. My cousin didn't tell me, but he had pulled up probably about 50 feet from the island, and it's getting dark. The water's dark, and he says, "Well, it starts getting shallow here. I don't want to risk running aground." And I said, "Okay, so how do we get there?" And he says, "Well, you got to swim." And at night,
not this little gray duck, man. No,
I did.
Way
I
you
jumped
get me in the ocean water.
I jumped in. It was only about 4 feet deep, but that's plenty enough in dark water in the middle of the ocean. So I jumped in, and I had my shoes on because I didn't want to take my shoes off. There's a lot of seaweed and stuff. You know how that feels.
Oh, yeah.
And, I sunk, man. I was like in concrete. I started panicking a little bit. I heard the music. Dun, 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 dun. So I kicked off my shoes, man, and I dug them up out of whatever I was stuck in, the sand or whatever. And I tried to run towards the shore, but we made it. And it was even spookier going back out to the boat and trying to climb up on it. Yeah, but that was my island adventure. The rest of it, we spent fishing and having a good time, man. It was beautiful down there. Beautiful. Thanks to my cousin. Thanks to Port Richey for being great, guys. I had such a good time. I haven't been to Florida in a while. But you went to Jersey.
I went to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
My family. Again, I had a cousin put me on a great feast while I was down there. We had the Snover family reunion. To make that understandable, I am Nathan Schoonover, but my mom's side of the family are the Snovers, and every other year we hold a family reunion. So went down to the Jersey Shore to meet up with the Snover clan.
That's got to be tough.
And half the family was staying at the beach. I was included with that.
I'm a schoonover.
And the other half of the family was staying in the Pine Barrens.
Oh, why wouldn't you stay there?
Well, because, I went there with my wife, Chrissy P., and she had never seen the Jersey Shore, so I took her to see the Pine Barrens, and she was like, "These are the real Pine Barrens?" I'm like, "Yes, see all the pine trees? That's why they call it the Pine Barrens."
Yeah. And she smacked you for being a sarcastic man.
Yeah, well, she smacks me all the time. I got it coming. But, we went down, didn't find the Jersey Devil. But, we did tell one of my nephews the Jersey Devil story, and he didn't sleep the rest of the time he was down there.
Right.
But and then I took her to see the Jersey Shore, where I grew up. And, when I grew up in the mountains, but every summer I'd go down to the Jersey Shore and stay with family there. And it was fun to be back. It really was fun to be back. And my cousin, Tim Snover, he made us those wonderful banners. Sean.
Yeah.
He put on a feast every single day we were down there, like nothing you've ever seen. The appetizers would have been the meal that I would have served at a typical party.
So he lives like right on the Jersey Shore.
Oh, he lives in Barnegat. He lives right up on the bay and right across from the lighthouse. And wow,
so you got rich family too, huh?
Just say wow.
Yeah. You got rich family, like my cousin. He bought that house out in Port Richey. He's right there on the ocean. And
you know, you've always got one cousin who makes good. And
yeah, and when you're out there, you can't help but thinking, what did I do wrong?
Exactly.
Anyway, Nathan, Shadow Nation, you know what time it is.
What time is it, Sean?
Tonight's guest! That's right, you heard me. And you hear the music, guys. This is when we give information on tonight's guest. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. He is a continuing education instructor, lecturer, and researcher. He says he was walking through the woods near Ryan Lake in Lewis County, Washington, when he came across a stack of bones with dental imprints that could prove the existence of Bigfoot. Tonight's guest, Mitchel Townsend, is going to be in studio, guys, and he brings with him scientific evidence that might change the way we look at what we call the Bigfoot. Tonight in studio, Mr. Mitchel Townsend. Very exciting guest. Very exciting. Right here at the home of the Mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. That's right. Yeah, fairly new evidence. He found these things, and he's calling out the scientific community to come forward and help with this. He's going to talk about that tonight. Very scientific man, very cool guy. We talked this week. Wow. We're going to have
It's going to be one of those shows, Sean, where you and I just sit there with our jaws on the ground, and he gets to talk because after the first 30 seconds, we realize we're way out of our league.
Well, we know the blue collar side of it. So
yeah.
When he starts bringing up terms like biotic taphonomy.
Well, when I first saw that, I thought it said bionic, and I thought he'd found the bionic Bigfoot from the old, $6 Million Man movie.
Yeah, biotic.
Was it the Bionic Woman movie? It was $6 Million Man.
I don't know. Biotic taphonomy signature analysis. That's how you say it. Taphonomy. I looked it up. Taphonomy. But I was saying taphonomy. What do you do with that biotic taphonomy signature? Yeah, but anyway.
I love a good taphonomy.
You've had several. You've had several this week.
It looks good on the sofa.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, guys, if you're following us, trending now. I just want to say trending now. If you're following us on Twitter, we really don't know what that means, guys, except,
the tweeter.
On the tweeter. Our good buddy, Dan. Hey, I did come across this story, guys, and you can see it on our Twitter, is what I was trying to say. Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show Twitter. And Candyman, the truth behind poison Halloween candy scares. You ever read this?
I have not, sir.
Do you want to hear it?
I definitely want to hear it.
Okay. Well, do you know when we were growing up, how many of us have heard the story, always check your candy, right?
Oh, yeah, don't eat the unwrapped candy.
Yeah. Anyway, it says if you grew up in the last half century or so, the tradition of checking your Halloween candy after coming home from trick-or-treating was a commonplace, even of your childhood. And I know it wasn't mine.
Oh, it wasn't mine.
You weren't supposed to eat apples. What was it, Nathan?
No apples, no unwrapped candy. Your parents had to check all your candy wrappers to make sure they hadn't been tampered with.
Yeah.
Any of the larger bars they would chop up before you could eat them to make sure there were no pins in them.
Right. Needles.
It was
cyanide on them.
Yeah.
I heard all that. Razor blades in the apples.
I also grew up in the years when people were putting cyanide in Tylenol capsules.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Now, was that ever confirmed?
There was a big
story?
Tylenol capsule scare years ago where you only bought the tablets because people were buying Tylenol
and emptying out the capsules.
Emptying it out, putting cyanide in them, rewrapping them, and putting them back on the shelf. And that's why they have those seals around the tops of medicine now. When you buy off on the shelf medicine, it says if the seal is broken, do not return immediately.
Right. I mean, because, I was born in 75. I can remember where and you can too, the pill bottles were just in a box and you popped it open and it had cotton in it. It didn't have the plastic seal. Anyway, it says there could be a razor blade stuck in your taffy apple or a loose wrapper on your peanut butter cup. That may mean poison. Like most things, though, especially those connected to a holiday like Halloween, truth is often stranger and sometimes scarier than fiction. We've said that bunch on here, huh? Yeah, anyway. The first question is, Nathan.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Has a child ever died from candy connected to the holiday of Halloween? Ever in history, you'd have to lean forward.
I would have to say yes.
Yeah. Yes! Ding, ding, ding! That's a very sad thing. I'm not that excited about it being yes. I wish it said no, but...
He's excited that I actually knew the answer.
Yeah, I am. That fact stated, the truth behind the fear of murderers targeting children through poisoned holiday sweets is a bit more complex and interesting. Urban legends are odd things because they can grow. Like a living creature, they pick up bits and pieces from a variety of sources, from Chinese whispered eyewitness accounts to real... What? Yeah, it says from China. I thought it was going to say Chinese ancient secret, huh? From Chinese whispered eyewitness accounts to real events that are embellished and turned into fiction. Anyway, it's got a big poison sign here. Fears about poison candy started after the Industrial Revolution, mostly due to products that were once made very local, moving further away from the paying customer's eyes. Sick children who had recently eaten candy propelled the myth, as they were thought to be victims of some sick and manufactured sweets. In the late 19th and early 20th century, the U.S. Bureau of Chemistry began to test samples of candy, besides an abundance of cheap corn syrup in many products. Food coloring dye made from coal, tar, and very small amounts of copper from cooking utensils. The candy was deemed to be poison-free, okay? There we go. They did a big thing. They found out the candy was poison-free, or at least what they were checking. Anyway, here's some incidents that we'll bring up. A dentist from California was charged with unlawful dispensing of drugs and outrage of public decency in 1959 when he tainted Halloween candy with a laxative. I mean, I don't understand that. What do you accomplish? But you wouldn't even see, I mean, that could kill somebody if it was severe enough, but you wouldn't even be there to see it. You know what I mean?
I got a feeling that was more of a dentist trying to get kids to stop eating candy.
Maybe. But apparently he's been getting candy from the rear in prison ever since. Anyway, in 1964, he's been getting Tootsie Rolls. In 1964, a woman in Long Island believed that too many older teenagers were coming to her door for trick-or-treat, so she handed out bags with items like steel wool pads, dog treats, and little dots of any poison, which was clearly labeled as poison. She, too, was arrested and charged with child endangerment. Well, yeah. Okay, the dog treat's kind of funny. The poison, no. The New York Times published an article October 28th, 1970, entitled, Those Treats May Be Tricks, which even had a guide to what kind of poison, Nathan, or foreign objects may be inside your children's holiday treats. Yeah.
Okay. What would those things have been?
In 1970, a 5-year-old boy from Detroit named Kevin Townsend apparently ate Halloween candy which contained the drug heroin. Although his case was reported as candy poisoning, it ends up Townsend got into a drug stash, and the poisoning story was concocted to protect the family member the drugs belonged to.
Well, I have heard that most cases of child poisoning and candy are actually from their own home, families, rather than trick-or-treating.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that would be correct, sir. And I'll tell you where that comes from. A major boost to the legend took place when the Candyman drove the legends to greater heights on Halloween night in 1974. You want to know where the story comes from, you just said there?
Yes, please.
A man who killed Halloween.
Dun, dun, dun.
What a douche. Ronald Clark O'Brien was an optician from Texas who had a wife and 2 children, an 8-year-old son named Timothy and a 5-year-old daughter named Elizabeth. O'Brien was also a deacon at his Baptist church. On Halloween night in 1974, O'Brien took his son Timothy and daughter Elizabeth trick-or-treating in Pasadena, Texas, along with a neighbor and his 2 children. Eventually, the group reached a house where no one would answer the door. Ronald O'Brien stayed behind at the residence while the rest of the group moved on. O'Brien rejoined the group a short time later, returning with 5 large straws of the powdered candy known as pixie sticks. You remember those?
Oh, yeah. I still eat pixie sticks. Are you kidding?
I haven't seen them. They got them out there?
You can buy them at, like,
Dollar store?
Walmart in a pack of, like, 500 for 29 cents or something.
Okay. Yeah, pixie sticks. It's like Kool-Aid, I think, on crack. Nah! I just said crack because the heroin thing, which O'Brien claimed were from the house that did not immediately answer when the group was together at the house. So you know where I'm at here. The dad stayed behind at the house that wasn't answering the door. Then he caught up later with a bunch of pixie sticks.
Gotcha.
You with me? All right. O'Brien gave 2 of the pixie sticks to each of his children and 2 to each of the neighbors' children as well. The 5th pixie stick was given to a 10-year-old boy O'Brien knew from his Baptist church. Before bed, Timothy ate some of his Halloween candy, including one of the 5 pixie sticks. Timothy complained about the taste of the candy to his father, drinking Kool-Aid to wash the powder down. Timothy also had to be helped getting the powdered candy out of its straw wrapper. Almost immediately after consuming the candy, he complained of stomach pains and began to convulse and vomit. Timothy O'Brien died in an ambulance on Halloween night about an hour later. Later tests would reveal that the 5 pixie sticks were poisoned with potassium cyanide. The ends of the straw wrappers of each piece of candy had been cut off, and the last 2 inches of the candy powder was replaced with poison and stapled shut. I'm thinking, this guy has to be crazy. Would he carry a staple around with him?
He must have made them in advance and kept them hidden.
Yeah, he had to. Although none of the children in possession of the other 4 pieces of candy consumed them, the local area was swept by panic, and many parents turned in or disposed of their children's Halloween candy as a precaution. O'Brien claimed to forget exactly which house those 5 particular candies had come from, but soon his story began to fall apart. Huh? Anyway, yeah, Mr. O'Brien, douche, would recall that the tainted pixie sticks came from the house the group had stopped at where no one had answered the door. O'Brien claimed a hairy arm reached out from behind the front door, idiot, of the house without turning the porch lights on and handed him the 5 pieces of candy. Yeah, so then he gives it to his kid. Idiot. Police soon dismissed this version of events because the man who owned the home in question worked as an air traffic controller and was not even home on Halloween night.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And nearly 200 coworkers could verify that dude wasn't home. Anyway, it was also discovered that Ronald O'Brien was deep in debt and was in danger of being unemployed. Records also showed that O'Brien was taken out of various life insurance policies on both his children, totaling to around $60,000 between January and October of '74.
It's always the deacons, man. It's always the deacons.
Then there was a cat, I guess, working at a chemical shop. Said that O'Brien had came in shortly before Halloween to price packages of cyanide. Anyway.
That seems suspicious.
Yeah, after a few legal battles that kept changing his execution dates, one missed date was on Halloween in 1982. Ronald O'Brien was executed by lethal injection March 31st, 1984. Good riddance, sir.
Should have been Halloween.
Yeah, it should have. And they should have choked him with cyanide.
Yeah.
Up his chute. Yeah, I agree. That's terrible, but I thought that was interesting because we both love. It's our favorite season. And you always hear about that, but yeah. I know.
You know what I did yesterday, brother?
Cyanide?
Cyanide, yes. You're talking to the ghost of the demon hunter.
Well.
No, I went to the Connecticut Horror Fest.
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah.
They were prepping for Halloween.
Nice.
They had the little sign-up sheet there to sign up for the big haunted graveyard that is, I'm trying to remember, Lake Compounds.
Okay.
In Connecticut.
Is that something that happens every year, Ro?
Every year up here.
Okay.
And so they had the sign-up sheets there. You could sign up to work in the haunted graveyard. And it was just a really good event. They had the actor who played Pinhead there. They had the girl who was the bicycle zombie from The Walking Dead. They had one of the former members of Face Off from Sci-Fi, Tyler. For any of you who are Sci-Fi Face Off fans, he might actually come on the show, Sean.
Nice.
That's we were talking for a while there. He's a nice guy. Nice guy. Lives here in Connecticut.
Okay.
Actually does makeup classes here in Connecticut. So
nice.
I might go to a few of his makeup classes because I've never been able to get my eyeshadow just right.
Now, is that what he does full time, or is it like a hobby?
Well, he is a professional makeup artist, so
Okay, all right. In Connecticut,
I guess so.
he does a lot of plays. Then I would imagine stuff like that.
Well, no, he does work in the industry, so I'm sure he has a home up here because this is where he grew up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's out on the road most of the time.
I don't know. Hey, did you see this crazy thing about? No, tell me more about the Horror Fest. I want to know. You didn't finish it.
The Horror Fest. Well, I got to say this, Sean. You weren't at the Virginia Paranormal Conference with me years ago, where I met the folks from Ghostly Talk. Because they said you got to meet Sean Burris, and that was really the beginning of the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show.
Okay, yeah. I remember this. I wasn't
but
there.
It was probably the best run paranormal conference I'd ever attended.
Okay.
And you get a really good paranormal conference about once every 10 years.
Right.
A good conference well-run conference about once every 10 years. Yeah. And this was the 10-year mark, man, because this conference was run perfectly. Everything ran on time. They had plenty of people running things. Everything was set up in a circle so you could just walk in a circle and see everything and meet everyone. And, just a lot of fun. And it was decorated to be a horror conference.
Nice.
It was the big horror mummy monster things all over the place. People in costumes, everything from Freddy Krueger to the mummy.
I love that stuff.
One girl dressed as the alien queen from Aliens.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that I look forward to. And hopefully next year, Sean, you and I can maybe attend and as guests, as speakers, and as set up a table there, because there are people, Sean. There are people.
People. Well, people's good for a conference.
No, there are people, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Our kind of people. I get it. Our. You said our. Got to be.
Arg.
You know
Arg.
how
I'm in
our
pirate
English
mode.
is on this show. Anyway. Yeah, those are fun. I love those conferences, man. We used to do those all the time. We kind of went off the grid with that lately. In the last couple of years. It's just been, traveling, and we had the TV show, and it just kind of got to be too much there for a while. But
yeah, and when it comes out of your own pocket.
yeah, that's true. It gets pricey. Anyway, hey, did you see this story about the bejewel your cat's butt with Twinkle Tush? Did you see it? I figured you.
Yes, I saw it. Somebody posted it on my Facebook page.
I don't know who might have done that. I don't know. But, you're a cat lover.
I love my cats.
I like cats. Anyway, on July 8th, the makers of Cat Crib, I don't even know what that is. Oh, now I do. A cat hammock that attaches to your chair legs, uploaded a video to YouTube that had advertised a new product called Twinkle Tush. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, when hung from a cat's tail, the Twinkle Tush effectively obscures the feline posterior. Yeah, posterior. You're supposed to say it was like a
posterior
with a plastic jewel. It's plastic. Yeah. Although it appeared to be a total joke at first, Cat Crib is now actually selling Twinkle Tushes with the clear stipulation that it's a gag gift. That's just as well since felines can be fussy about playing dress up. Yeah. Anyway, it says then again it didn't stop the makers of cat battle armor. Are you serious? They got cat battle armor.
I had Battle Cat as a child.
Yeah. They show a cat walking away with his rear end up in the air with the jewel on it. It says haters are gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. That's what it's. That's slang. All the kids say it.
Yeah, I do not want to be the guy to clean the Twinkle Tush off after the first trip to the litter box.
Oh, I don't know. That would be terrible. Yeah, you would have to clean it. Your cat could have serious, problems if you didn't.
See, I thought it was gonna be like one of these things that you stick to your cat's bum, and when they poop, it's twinkly.
Yeah, something, or had an odor, a pleasant odor release kind of thing.
Yeah, because I got a few cats that have some stinky rears. I mean, they walk in the room, you know it, that they just came in.
Yeah, the cats. Yeah, cats are very stinky, stinkier than dogs.
Well,
when it comes to that,
When it comes to that, I mean, dog breath is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and then when they go outside, they stink when they sweat, But if you love them, man. I don't know what to tell you. You like
more
them.
power to you, dog lovers.
More power to you. Anyway, so what else do you got there? What's going on?
Oh, Jersey Devil, Jersey Shore, and the horror conference not enough for you? All right.
Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff. Loch Ness Monster, they said this week. Most likely a large catfish. You hear this?
Oh, you're breaking into all my news that I sent you.
Oh, was that part of the news? Well, since you're going to put it that way, you know what time it is again?
Oh, no.
That's right. It's always fresh. It's always exciting. It's strange and weird, and it's hot off the G&D Show vaults. And it starts right now. Ooh. You reminded me we have a news segment. I almost forgot.
Been off the air 1 week. You forgot all about it.
I forgot. It happens. It happens sometimes. When you're in radio, sometimes your segments get forgotten, especially with our show, because we talk too much. Oh, well. Anyway, did you hear about this? Hawaii just got hit by a snowstorm in July.
Why, yes, I did hear about that. I opened that news up myself. Go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead. Go right ahead here.
Okay, but first let's remind folks that this is Ghostman and Demon Hunter in the news. That's weird news. That means we take the news right out of the paper because we like the titles.
Yeah.
And every time we make a mistake, because we haven't read them in advance, you get to take a drink. That's the G&D drinking game. We do ask that if you're listening to this while driving in your car, don't play the G&D drinking game.
Don't do it.
Of course, if you have anything important to do this evening that you may get a little intoxicated because we make a lot of mistakes, please listen responsibly.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, Sean, you just said it. Hawaii just got hit by a July snowstorm.
Oh, man.
Seriously.
It's the end of the world.
I guess it must be.
For
July
them.
snowstorms are weird enough. July snowstorms in Hawaii boggle the mind. This comes to us from the Huffington Post.
Oh.
But that's what happened at the summit of Mauna
Magalai.
on Hawaii's Big Island on Friday morning.
Okay.
But
Friday
the
morning.
combination of passing thunderstorms and near freezing temperatures led to a 1 to 5 inch of snow and icy concentration, according to the Rangers report. Have a drink, folks.
Mahaka.
Mahaka.
Yes.
A dormant volcano that rises 13,796 feet above sea level gets snow regularly in the winter months, but rarely in the summer. It can happen, meteorologist Ray Lyman told West Hawaii Today.
Yeah.
Even in July.
The drink bill's active.
Yes, the drink bell is active. In the summer, average high temperatures at the summit are around 40 degrees, and average lows are 25 degrees.
Oh, man.
Magalala weather is extremely unpredictable, according to the Mauna
Drink up,
weather
guys.
A calm sunny day may quickly become. You're making me laugh.
No. Don't blame it on that. Calm Sunday.
Quickly become. I'm gonna skip that word. Just have a drink.
Skip it.
With hurricane force winds and bizarre conditions, a statement warns. The summit web camera caught the violent weather, including a 2-line lapse, including 2 time-lapse videos below.
Okay.
So if you want to check this out, folks, go to HuffingtonPost.com, go to Weird News, check out Hawaii gets hit by July snowstorms. Don't do it right now, though.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, don't do it during the show. Anyway, are you done?
I'm done.
So you heard that, guys.
Mispronouncing Maikaya.
If you're going to Makalaka, bring your winter coat. Heidi ho!
Go read your catfish story.
World's oldest sperm discovered in Antarctica.
How did I know you were going to take that?
I had to switch it. See, I thought you were going to read that story, and you switched it up. Anyway, we've heard of freezing sperm, yeah? Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But this is taking it to the next level. Yeah, 50
Please,
million
tell
year.
me more.
I am. I'm going to do it right now. 50 million year old sperm cells from a worm have been found in Antarctica. National Geographic reports on this Tuesday the fossilized sperm, which was preserved in the walls of an egg case, is the oldest fossil animal sperm yet known, according to a paper published Wednesday in the journal Biology Letters by researchers at the Swedish Museum of Natural.
Have
Gotta
a
get the
drink,
drink
folks.
bell out, guys. Natural history. How did I mess that up? Natural history in Stockholm. Anyway, guys, the egg case came from a worm that belongs to the class Clitallata. Drink up. I almost said something else. But scientists aren't sure of the species. Benjamin Bromflair, drink up, guys, lead author of the paper, told Nature.com that the sperm has characteristics similar to that of crayfish.
Oh.
Yeah, but since those worms have only found in the northern, or are normally found in the northern hemisphere, it seems unlikely it's the same animal. It could be an extinct relative with similar types of sperm, Baumfleer said. The old sperm is more than just a quirky curiosity. Studying the structure of sperm cells helps scientists figure out evolutionary relationships between different worm species, according to Nature Online. You believe that? All this stuff we look for, dinosaur junk and stuff like that, we find worm sperm. So now we'll be able to clone a worm.
You know, I've got this horrible image in my head about the Thing.
Yeah.
Remember the Thing?
Oh yeah, to take over the world. Yeah. Maybe the worm is where we came from.
There you go.
There's a lot of wormy
They could
characters.
trace it back to the history of evolution.
I don't know.
And then everybody will say that here's proof, and everybody else will say it's the devil's plaything.
Yeah. It's the devil's worm.
Hey, Sean, Loch Ness Monster Hunter believes Nessie is just a catfish.
Oh, yeah. Do tell.
Let's listen in.
I've never heard of this
I
one.
make a lot of mistakes as I read this one. Okay,
It's a
after
primer.
nearly a quarter century of camping out by the banks of Scotland's Loch Ness, hoping to get a glimpse of Nessie, the most
Fish.
dedicated hunter
Broke my bell.
in the legendary monster have a drink, has given up, concluding that it is a very big catfish.
No.
Steve Feltham, who gave up his girlfriend, house, and job in southwest England in 1991
Poor guy.
to spend his life looking for the Loch Ness Monster, believes he has solved the mystery behind its many sightings.
Now he only has sex with catfish.
Yes. Isn't that a TV show?
I think so.
The Times newspaper reported on Thursday, rather than being, not that he has sex with catfish.
River
He
monster.
gave up.
Sex.
Rather than being a
Yeah.
primeval beast, he suspects
Pause.
it was a Wales catfish, a native European catfish that the paper said could grow up to 13 feet or 4 meters
Oh,
long.
good grief.
Victorians included the fish to the dark waters.
Yeah.
Victorians introduced, have a drink,
Ah.
the fish to the dark waters of Loch Ness to provide sport.
Okay.
I have to be honest, I don't think that Nessie is a prehistoric monster. Faltham was quoted as saying, what a lot of people have reported seeing would fit
Yeah.
in with the description of a catfish that is long, curved, and black.
Right.
His conclusions are unlikely to deter the thousands of tourists who visit the site and believe a monster does still lurk in the dark water of the deep Scottish lake.
Oh my God.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely gonna need one. Oh my God. So this cat spends all that time looking for Loch Ness,
Yes.
and this cat only finds. Go on.
Well, he finds a catfish. The first written record of the monster relates to the Irish monk Saint Columбus,
Really?
who is fabled to have banished
Yeah.
the water beast to the depths of the river Ness in the 6th century, long before the introduction of catfish in the loch.
Well, maybe he was. Maybe he banished it into a
I'm
catfish.
ready for sex.
Yeah. Maybe he said, maybe he turned
There
it into
have
a
been
catfish.
countless fruitless attempts to track down the monster, Sean, for years.
Oh, really? You're not going to address
In 2003, the BBC founded an expedition, scientific search, that used 600 sonar beams and satellite tracking to sweep the full length of the loch. It it concluded there was probably nothing there.
Okay.
The most famous picture of Nessie, known as the Sergian photo, surgeon photo.
I don't know. Surgeon's photo.
Surgeon
Woo!
was taken in 1934 and showed a head popping out of the water. It was revealed 60 years later that it was a hoax, and that used a sea monster model attached to a toy submarine. The monster mystery will last forever and will continue to attract people here. Monster or not, Foltham said, I certainly don't regret the last 24 years. I would regret the last 24 years.
Well, yeah. But I guess he's going to try to get some fame now by coming out and saying, it's a catfish.
He's the man who solved the mystery.
Yeah. But it's not, I always love those scientific conclusions where it says, there's probably nothing there. I mean, that's hard fact, guys. Probably. I don't know. That's what you said. They said it's probably nothing there when they did the scans, the aerial view, right? Yeah. Are you there? Oh, I think we lost you. I
can't hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh.
You got to keep that mic plugged in, buddy.
No, I was getting some feedback on my end, so I was trying to fix it.
Oh, I see. Well, let's move right along. Are you done there?
I am done there.
All right, here comes another one, guys, right out of, this is called the Bro Bible. Special thanks to the people at Bro Bible. Yeah, this handy U.S. map shows you which states use your favorite curse words the most. Yeah, Paul Saka. I thought you might know because you need to follow the pattern if you're going to use, certain things. So this is going to be real touchy because they actually, on the Bro Bible, they don't censor their articles, so I'm going to read it very carefully. It says, I don't curse a lot. I blank curse all the blank time at blank blank. Oh, it's going to be hard. I'm not 10 years old, and my life isn't some cleansed and censored episode of the Brady Bunch. I'm a real person talking how real people talk in the real world. There's plenty of blank blanks like myself that use the word blank like it was the word the. Don't believe me? Question mark. You're calling me a blanking liar? Well, blank, check out these blanking maps. There's a blanking map that shows where all the blank holes who are living in a blanky place that appreciate using the always endearing blanker blank. Blanky blanker. Yeah, that's all I can say there. All right, here it is. Here we go. All right. It says blank, probably the most versatile word in the entire English language because it can be used as a noun. Tommy is a dumb blank. Verb, we blanked all night. Pronoun, that blank ate all the tacos. What's a blank and blank? Blanked if I'll give you my last, not your father's root beer. It's an adverb. Linda is blanking blanked. Conjunction. I prefer pepperoni pizza, but blanking Mike prefers anchovies. Preposition. So, where's the Uber? That's what it says. Blank if I know. And interjection. Blank! I was sure I could find something good to watch on TV. Man, that's great. The map's lit up like a Christmas tree here. I figure we'll get into this at some point. The blanking research is the hard work of Jack Grieve, a lecturer in forensic linguistics in the School of Languages and Social Sciences at Aston University in Birmingham, England. Man, I gotta be careful here. Utilizing.
Hold on, John. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
There we are.
You got it. What'd you do? Did you lose something?
I wanted to. Didn't you hear the bell?
No, I didn't hear the bell.
Oh, man.
You're going to cut the whole show off there. Utilizing geotag data from Twitter, he created this incredible info map that areas where popular curse words are used most heavily in the country. You can see where the most blank holes are. You want to see it? You want me to read it out here?
Tell me, sir.
All right. Here we go, guys. Here's the first one for the word that starts with an F. Okay?
Okay.
No, our show's hard hitting, folks. We just don't want to go overboard when we do, in fact, get picked up by other networks. So, okay. The F word is most used on the West Coast and around your neck of the woods, East Coast. But
Well, I wouldn't doubt that.
not in the middle. Indiana, all those places, Wyoming and Texas, none of them. Only on the southern regions.
So you're living in the wrong place, Sean.
Yeah, I know. I'm way out there. But yeah, you're lit up like a orange Christmas tree with the F word, and the West Coast, that whole line there is pretty bad. And of course, the southernmost tip of Florida.
Well, every time they have an earthquake, they shout it out.
Right. So you hear that. I don't know. Here's the next one. So that's the F word, guys. West Coast, East Coast, only the tips there, and the southernmost tip of Florida for the F word. Congratulations, guys. The Blanken research, I told you that, is made by Jack Grieve, and he's going to pop on down here on the A word. It's actually two words. A and the holes. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay, here we go. So he's going to bring this up. The a-hole word is used mostly in Illinois. You believe that? Illinois.
Really?
Yeah, Illinois, Ohio, and Minnesota. And also the southern part of Texas. That's where it's most where it's less used less is in Florida and the surrounding places, Louisiana, stuff like that.
Oh, with all those a-holes.
Yeah, they don't say a-holes because they realize it's terrible. We just lost our Florida listener base. Anyway, okay, this is the
I'm the one who wants to move to Florida.
This
so.
is the shh. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that word. Yeah. That word again is East Coast. Lit up in the East Coast, and West Coast is in the blue. They don't use it out there apparently.
Really?
Yeah, so if you hear it out while you're West Coast,
you know it's an East Coaster out there.
Yeah, or the Heartland doesn't use it much. Illinois is kind of on the border there, on the fence. But definitely Louisiana, Florida, all those places around there, they definitely use it.
Boy, they're going to make you move, Sean.
They are. And for your blank goody two-shoes, here's where gosh is used the most in the United States. Good for you. And your blank dedication to not saying naughty words. They're making fun.
And where was that?
This is where gosh is used the most.
Okay.
And it's actually Washington, nation's capital.
Wait, Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C. Well, yeah, Washington, D.C., I'm sorry.
Okay, because, if anybody has reason to curse, it's the folks that have to live with all those folks, all those politicians in Washington, D.C.
And believe it or not, Indiana is not on there. You would think places in the heartland would use gosh more. Andy Griffith stuff, it's not there.
Gosh darn.
We haven't even registered. You're a little even in the active area for gosh.
I say gosh all the time. That's like the word I use. I never use those bad words.
Yeah.
Not me. Not ever. No how.
Some kind of article about a big-breasted lady there. I don't know. We'll go into that next week, but I definitely going to read that one late tonight. You know what I mean?
We're off the air.
Anyway,
hey, Sean,
that's the news.
Here's one that make you happy. Drunk man gets hit and run over by a train. Doesn't even get hurt.
It's happened.
This comes to us from the Huffington Post, and it's in Saskatchewan. No, that's not. Saskatchewan, New York.
Easy.
Good. I'm gonna have to use one of those expletives there.
Don't hurt yourself.
State police said a man escaped injury after being run over by a freight train, while sleeping in the middle of the railroad tracks in upstate New York, town.
Wow.
Trooper says the 38-year-old Aaron Collins of Stillwater was highly intoxicated when he went to sleep Wednesday night on the tracks in the Okay.
Sound it
Here
out.
we go, folks. Get ready to drink. The Rensselaer County
Yeah.
town of, and here it is again, Scott's Thai Cook.
Yeah.
Scott Thai Hook. Scott Thai Cook.
This is
Okay.
exciting about
20
your
miles
reading.
north of Albany.
Yeah.
Police say the Pan Am freight train, more than a mile long, approached around 10:30 p.m. He was that drunk at 10:30.
I guess.
I guess.
A.M.
The conductor spotted Collins on the tracks and stopped the train, but not before the first two engines passed over him.
Oh my God.
Troopers say the engines were.
It's fascinating.
The engine was moved forward to free Collins,
Yeah.
who was uninjured but still drunk. He was taken to Albany Hospital for evaluation.
Don't blow
What kind
my
of fine do you think
high.
you get for falling asleep on the train tracks there, John?
I don't know. They didn't blow his high though. That's the good thing. He was
That's
still
the
drunk.
Good thing. There you go.
Yeah. That's a 25-cent bottle of Ripple, man. Easy. Yeah, I don't know.
Easy. He's gonna lose all his booze money on just the fine.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Is that it, Nathan?
That's it.
There you go, guys. G&D show in the news.
It's weird news. It's
Weird.
what you want to hear.
Strange. Is it strange or weird? Because on our site it says today's strange news.
That's true. It does.
It does. Hey, we're at 7:52, and the next segment, guys, something we know and love. Oh, that's right, guys. You hear the music. This is Legend X series. It's an original series. That means Nathan and myself created it, where each week, every day, we scour the United States and many more places to bring you the latest and greatest in legends. Monsters, ghosts, swamp people. I guess that'd be a monster too, right?
Yeah, sure. Why
I
not?
really need to write this intro down because I blow it every week. Anyway, guys, each week we bring you a new legend to find out is there any truth to it or is it totally bogus. This week's Legend X is...
The Devil's Lake Monster.
Oh, Devil's Lake Monster. It's a good one. There's a lot of lake monsters out there.
There are. I mean, now that we know that Nessie's just catfish,
Yeah.
we need a new monster.
What if the yeah, we can sell Devil Lake Monster T-shirts. I'm sure nobody's thought of that yet. Right?
That is correct, sir.
Oh, they don't sell T-shirts out there.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm gonna go online.
They should. I would sell t-shirts.
All right.
I'd have a little booth alongside the road right next to the lake.
I
then
would
I'd get
too.
eaten by the monster.
Sell them out of my car while I'm parked on the train trestle, train
Yes.
tracks,
It's falling asleep on the train tracks.
with my bottle of Ripple.
With a name like Devil's Lake, there has to be something creepy in the water, right, Sean?
Oh, you would think.
Hey, this takes place in Wisconsin, USA. But hey, folks, we're not playing the drinking game anymore because there's some Indian names here, so you're gonna have to forgive me.
We don't want to be responsible for alcohol poisoning.
The Ho-Chuk tribe actually calls the body of water the Diwakachagar,
All right.
or Spirit Lake.
It's fun to stay at the...
Dawakachagar.
We love Native
But-
Americans. Come
or
on.
Spirit Lake. Because they said voices of the dead could be heard during celebrations. According to this, according to the site Unknown Explorers, it was actually the Nakatua tribe that told missionaries about a year with a massive drought when the Devil's Lake started to dry up. One day, members of the Nakatua noticed a strange-looking fish stranded on a sandbar.
Okay.
It was humongous and had a long neck and a small head. The creature struggled into the mud for a few days, eventually wiggling its way back to the water.
Yes.
The Nakotus,
That long neck. Yeah.
yeah, described it as having description have caused some to wonder if the creature could have been a plesiosaur.
Okay.
A plesiosaur marine, or a plesiosaur marine. Sorry, folks. Or a prehistoric marine lizard.
Peter Pecker picked the pepper.
Peter Piper picked the peck.
I said peck.
Plesiosaur's prehistoric monster lizards.
Yes.
Of which fossils have been found near the area in North America.
Peter.
This theory is strengthened by the fact that the Devil's Lake was formed by melting glaciers after the last ice age. It is possible that the frozen plesiosaur survived and came back to life after thawing out in the lake.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so, Sean.
Walt
Another
Disney
American legend
worked for Walt Disney.
and
Elvis.
of a chief who took warriors out on a midnight hunt on the Devil's Lake, only to be attacked by something like a freshwater octopus. None of the men survived. Each year after that, the tribe believed to be the soy. Another Indian name, folks.
Just say Pocahontas.
It's an Indian tribe. Would throw animals into the lake to appease the beast.
Okay.
So, what do you think, Sean? Plesiosaur in the middle of Wisconsin?
Well, and it's funny because we covered so many over our 9 years broadcasting on this show, from, Sasquatch to lake monsters. And how many places have we been that say there's a lake monster? Champ.
Yeah.
In Michigan, right?
Yeah. Or no, well, yeah, but when I went to look for Champ, it was in New York.
Okay.
Between Vermont and New York.
And I'm sure if you look up New York lake monsters, we'd find something out there. I think people have always scared have been fearful of what they can't see. I know I have. When you're in the water, you can't see beneath you, and there's a lot of weird things. I don't go in the water.
It's evil. It's bad.
How can we say? It's like in the universe, we haven't been able to research the deepest parts of our own oceans.
Well, not according to Shark Week, Sean. Now we can.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, well, they all last week on Shark Week, they were saying, now we can explore parts of the ocean that have never been seen before.
Yeah,
and they're
parts.
Finding all these goblin sharks and...
Yeah, but not the deepest.
7-gilled sharks and stuff like that.
Yeah, but not the deepest parts of the ocean is what I was saying. We don't even know how deep the ocean goes, do we?
Well, yeah.
Oh, do we? Well, we can't get there. So I'm gonna...
No, I imagine we can't get there.
Who knows? Anyway, Demon Hunter, before we go to break, I think we should probably say tonight's guest for those just joining us. What do you think?
Oh, sure, why not?
Let's say it. Tonight's guest!
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, guys. He's a continuing education instructor, a lecturer, and researcher. He says he was walking through the woods near Ryan Lake in Lewis County in Washington when he came across a stack of bones with dental imprints that could prove the existence of Bigfoot. Tonight's guest, Mr. Mitchel Townsend, is going to be here in studio. He's going to bring with him scientific evidence that might just change the way you look at Bigfoot. So I like this. Very seldom do we have a guest come on that brings evidence to put out there to our listeners.
And I like the word evidence, Sean. I prefer the word evidence to proof,
You prefer the word evidence to Saskatchewan.
To anything I have to read in the... next week you read the legend, Sean.
No way, man. That's your job, baby. I've done my load.
Hey, shouldn't we be getting back to Walking Dead soon? Isn't there a new Walking Dead series coming out?
It is coming out, but I'm not sure on the date. I think it's in August, so we still got a couple of weeks there, buddy. I think it's in late August. Might even be later. No, it's definitely in August. Definitely in August.
Yeah, they did announce it was going to be in August, so... Darn it.
Anyway, guys, Mr. Mitchel Townsend's going to stop by. He's got some Bigfoot evidence, so stay tuned for that. Each week we play a new band, an independent band that we know, we love. The Devil Makes Three. It's the name of the band. Aces and Twos. This is the live version. This is the name of the song. Demon Hunter.
GhostMan.
Shadow Nation. We'll be right back.
I need coffee. I got to sober up.
Me too.
In my dreams, I laugh and smoke. Everybody screams, we tell them jokes. I like to gamble, sure don't ever lose. Got a closet full of pinstripes, three-piece suits. I pull laces, you pull twos. When I wake up, I don't know what to do. I battle demons dead of the night. I don't come home, the sun shines bright. I walk with you, but are you walking with me? You can tell everybody's on the same street. I pull laces, you pull twos. When I wake up, I don't know what to do. I drive a Cadillac 100 miles long. Back you can hear my radio on. Howlin' Wolf will give a spoonful to you, but in my dreams, spoonful sure won't do. I pull laces, he does too. When I wake up, I don't know what to do. I battle them demons dead of the night. I don't come home till the sun shines bright. Well now, I walk with you, are you walking with me? It's so hard to tell when everybody's on the same street. I pull laces, you pull twos. When I wake up, I don't know what to do.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to the Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only, mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Hey, since times of old, it's fascinated mankind. We've given it many names, from Yeti, Sasquatch, the Cave Yeller, and Bigfoot. President Teddy Roosevelt, in his book The Wilderness Hunter, released in 1892, relays the story of a trapper named Bauman and his brush with what apparently was a Sasquatch. From the Patterson film, believed by some to show a female Bigfoot on the move, it seems this evasive humanoid has eluded us for centuries. But tonight's guest says he might have the evidence to bring the big guy from out of the realm of the campfire stories into reality. Please help us welcome teacher, researcher, Mr. Mitchel Townsend to studio. Mitch, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to imparting some information and have a little fun with you guys tonight.
Well, we'll have fun, Mitch, right until the point where you start laying down all of the scientific stuff and we sit there with our jaws on the ground going, I don't understand. Bigfoot's real.
Yeah. I got Webster.
No worries, guys.
Anyway, Mitch, I'm fascinated to have you on, brother. You're such a cool guy. I've talked to you this week. I love it because out of all the guests, we've been on for 9 years, very seldom do we have one that comes on that says, I've researched this thing enough, and I've found something, and I'm bringing it to the table. And that's what you're doing here tonight. And, I got all these questions listed, but I kind of want to tear the page off and throw it away because I want you to take us away with it. I want to know, how did it start, your passion for the Bigfoot? Growing up, I mean, where did we begin with this?
Well, in all honesty, I had an experience when I was a young man out in Mason County in Washington State, and I was out in the swamp, and really just petrification fear came over me, sunk down into the mud, put a shell in my shotgun, and waited there, and had a real feeling that I was under surveillance, and there was an apex predator in the area. I was actually petrified, and ended up crawling out on a log in the middle of the swamp so I could get a shot off at whatever I felt was getting ready to make a move on me. And I sat out there for about 8 hours, and it started getting a little dark. and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to have to make my way on home anyway, and so I fired off a round and hopefully scared whatever it was, and ran as fast as I could back up to the house, and had a nice little chat with my brother about it. That was the first experience. He had one himself up in the mountains in the same county, in a clear cut. He was up there having a cigarette, and something kind of funny came over him as well, and he got that bad smell and pulled out his pistol and put a round in the chamber, and something went tearing off in the bushes. And that's kind of how it started, and really didn't think about it for several years after that until I moved down here to Lewis County, right at the base of Mount St. Helens, Bigfoot capital of the world, and started having some experiences down here, and it all went from there.
That's got to be crazy out there, living there. I mean, it's gorgeous, man.
It's beautiful up here, especially in the summertime. I do a lot of my research out in the forest, and generally in the winter and the spring when there's nobody out there, so we don't get interfered with by other animals or too many people up in the forest. Right. And creates a really interesting environment for hunting, camping, and fishing. And so, yeah, I generally love to be out there in the wilderness.
Right. Now, I wanted to bring up, there's a lot of, noted Bigfoot researchers out there right now, cryptozoologists, stuff like that. A lot of people are just out there running with guns and stuff, and they're hunting these things down for fun. But you are ex-military, correct?
That is correct. I spent 12 years in the U.S. Army Infantry, and I did my last tour in the Far East attached to the Green Berets with Special Operations as a language instructor, foreign languages instructor, infantry tactics, as well as a operations sergeant, S3 section for brigade and division level headquarters.
And thank you for your service, brother. I mean that.
Thank you very much.
And, so what I was going to say, with all that training and being in the military, you're not just out there running around with a gun. I mean, you know what you're doing. I've seen the pictures with camo, and you're hiding down in the bushes. And people would say, I mean, have you had sightings of these things?
In honesty, I have never actually seen one in the daylight face-to-face.
Right.
I've had several encounters at nighttime. I've taken groups of my college students over to a place we call Bigfoot City in eastern Washington and give them a guaranteed Bigfoot experience 9 out of 10 times. The red eyes, the white eyes, the growls, the screams, the stick snaps. And one of my students had a sighting in front of the campfire when I was out with another group of students, and that was just May of this year as part of one of the college teaching at one of the local colleges called Bigfoot Solve.
Wow. So what was that experience? What did they say when you got back? Could they even talk? I'd have been shocked to death.
The guy was shocked to death, and he was actually sitting in his truck, and his face was pure white. And I went up and knocked on the window and asked him, and his name was Vern. I'm not going to mention his last name. I said, Vern. I said, you okay, buddy? And he says, I'm out of here, man. I can't take it. And I said, well, what happened? He said, I saw it. I saw a large one and a small one walk right through the campsite, right in front of me.
Wow.
And, I was like, really? That's amazing. And, I didn't see it, and so I can't guarantee that he was telling the truth, but his face was ghost white. And as soon as I got back and talked to him, he jumped in his truck and split.
I would have been gone before. I don't think I'd have waited on you, man. But
I think he was afraid to take off, actually, until we got back.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and I've heard some of your comments about this, what do you say to the people out there, the skeptics, who ask, why haven't we found bones of Bigfoot or a body of one that's dead? A live one yet? What do you say to those cats?
That's a very interesting question. I get that quite a lot. And think about the vastness of the wilderness, first of all. If you step off the road and go 10 or 15 feet into the bush and turn around, you don't even see the road anymore. Also, if you think about this, how many people, especially your listeners out there, have ever seen a bear or a cougar mountain lion skeleton?
That's right.
Probably very few. And they are very numerous, well-classified creature, and yet you rarely ever see a cat skeleton in the forest. I've never seen one in 35 years of hiking the mountains. So that's a great analogy for your listeners to understand. They're there, but you don't see their carcasses. And the question is, why not?
Right. Well,
Absolutely.
that's the answer I wanted. That's what I heard this week, and I go, oh man, I got to use that one because it's true, man. There's so much out there that you don't see, and as we was talking earlier this week, it seems like so many people have these, well thought out opinions. They think, and you ask them, well, when's the last time you went out looking for a Bigfoot? Well, never. But you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely understand what you're saying, and most of the people that are out looking are doing it during the daytime. There's very few people that have the courage to go out in the deep mountains in the middle of the night in full camo and sniper gear and sit there in the forest and call them in.
Right.
I have a communication strategy that I employ for my college students that I've learned up through Mount St. Helens that tends to bring them in off the mountains very quickly. We call it ringing the dinner bell.
Okay. Can you go into detail on that?
Absolutely, and I'll tell your listeners exactly how to do it. You take a Louisville slugger out there in the middle of the mountains by some lake that doesn't have a lot of trails into it, and you beat on we call a signal tree, a large tree, and you can hear it echo across the valley. And it generally used that type of signaling for communication as well as driving prey animals. That's the speculation. I've had a few students have confirmed that exact behavior with a sighting and corresponding footprints. So what I do is I also bring an elk call with me and use it in a way so it sounds like the elk is in stress or under duress. Using a series of tree knocks that are rising in intensity. A lot of times I'll get corresponding tree knock answers. And the next thing you know, red eyes show up, self-illuminating red eyes, white eyes show up, you get other tree knocks, and then the forest goes completely quiet. And you know, the hair on the back of your neck stands straight up, and you know that there's an apex predator right there. And so that's been very successful over the last 4 years that I've done this active research. I highly recommend everybody use that technique. You'll be surprised at your results.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Nathan, do you have questions for
I do.
I got like
I was
50.
just too busy listening.
Yeah.
The red eye, white eye that you keep mentioning, I come from Jersey, and I had my first Bigfoot incident as a child down in Jersey, and we refer to the Bigfoot in Jersey as old red eye or big red eye, which depending on where you go. But what is the significance of red eye, white eye?
Well, the ancient American Indian legends or First Nation legends talk about this. I did a study of Native and First Nation ethnography, we call it, oral traditions and stories down from generation to generation. And they describe that exact same thing with self-illuminating red eyes, and they're generally Asian-shaped eyes. And I'm not exactly sure why or how they do that, but my assumption is, having talked to scientists from Bigfoot Field Research Organization, is that may indeed be a signaling device between creatures in order to determine if you are a Bigfoot or some other type of creature. The round eyes are generally, as explained to me, are smaller ones or juveniles. And so you'll have a series of round eyes and corresponding stick snaps as they move around you in the dark. And then every once in a while you see up on the hill or down in the swamp where we go, and you'll see these very large red Asian-shaped eyes that are also self-illuminating. And they were imparted to me as adults managing groups of smaller ones. There are the studies that I've conducted, over 3,000 different case studies, suggest that there's different colors of eyes, from green to amber to red to even yellow eyes, but all shaped as in an Asian-shaped eye, teardrop-shaped eyes. And I'll give you a little story. I was out with BFRO a couple of years ago in this place. We call it Bigfoot City. And the gentleman that I was with was an investigator. He called one down off the mountainside, and we could see its eyes, and we could smell that, that god-awful smell.
Yeah.
And I could see the shadow, huge shadow in the bushes, but it wouldn't come out. And this gentleman, and I'll tell you his name because he's a pretty famous guy too, his name's Mr. Jeff Robinson, out of Portland, Oregon. He walked right up to it. And, I'm kind of sitting back with my hand on my pistol going, I don't think this is a good idea, Jeff. And he says, no, I'm going to do this. He he walked up to this shadow and tried to get it to come out on the road. And remember, we don't have any flashlights on. It's totally dark. We're way up high in the mountains. And I'm looking at this from probably 30 yards away. And the eyes, and this is for real, and this is truth, gospel, the eyes dilated, like a cat's eyes would dilate.
Oh, wow.
And the red eyes, the red teardrop-shaped eyes, massive, got larger and smaller, like a cat's eyes do at night when it's concentrating.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not hallucinating. This is a real creature. And like I said, I usually carry a game tracker, which is an infrared body heat signature device.
Yeah.
You put it on the ground, it goes down. You put it against a human being, it goes up to about 2 on the scale. And you put it out on this shadow, and it was off the charts. So I know that it was functioning correctly. I know that I saw what I saw. And the scientists and researchers from Bigfoot Field Researchers Association would confirm that. And it's also confirmed in the Native American legends that I've done studies on for our college classes. So it's a very interesting, I think it's an adaptation, a nocturnal adaptation. Yes, indeed.
Now, I have a question from the chat room here, Sean.
Awesome.
This comes from Cleric Tavern. Tavern.
What's up,
Cleric
Cleric?
Tavern. I've been calling him Tavern for years. Imagine that. But wants to know that they've heard that they may have the equivalent to heat-sensitive vision, similar to night vision and flare vision. Is there any possible truth to that?
Once again, I cannot confirm or deny that. I think one would have to be captured or, close personal interaction on a regular basis to determine that. But I do know for sure that they have excellent night vision. I do know that they are master hunters, and I've been sniffed out in the bushes with full sniper gear on and slapped on the back of the head with a stick in the middle of the night, in the middle of the mountains, and nobody knew I was there. It smelt me, tracked me down, and snuck up on me without me hearing or smelling a thing. So that means it came from downwind.
So, Sean, when we go Bigfoot hunting, you have to use that Bigfoot soap I sent you.
Right, yeah. He sent me a bar, because I'm a huge Bigfoot advocate. I love all things Bigfoot, Mitch, and he sent me a little bar of soap, said Bigfoot Sasquatch soap or whatever. It was goofy, but I love it. But, I've got some questions that are going to lead in to why you're here tonight, what you got going on with this amazing thesis, this article you've written that could, I'm serious, Shadow Nation, this could change science as we know. And the research, what we do on Bigfoot, what Mitch has done is amazing. I had just 2 more questions before we go into that. Do you believe that the Sasquatches, Bigfoot, are pack hunters? Or are they rogue? Do they roam in groups? Because you had mentioned it before, the one guy that got scared had seen what looked like an adult and a child Sasquatch.
Right. I think that my personal opinion, based on our research, is that they're both. They seem to have resident populations in certain areas, and there's also transient populations that migrate through certain areas. This area we call Bigfoot City sees a huge influx of large amounts of them towards the end of the summer. So we believe that they're communicating with each other and also gathering in large numbers to hunt animals in that area of eastern Washington by Yakima, which is a hot spot for Bigfoot activity.
Yeah.
And also, 2 of my students were out hunting themselves and firsthand observed a group hunt where they were banging on with sticks or rocks on limbs on big trees and driving herds of deer into this clear cut. And what we assumed was a pinch point kill ambush site like the Native Americans used to use by running buffalo off cliffs.
Right.
They confirmed that because several deer ran out of the bushes and actually stayed close to these people, 3 of my students from a previous class, and were just shaking. And the tree knocks became more and more intense, and then finally these deers ran off from behind them. They had a sighting at that point. One of them came out of the bushes and was supposedly, I didn't see it, I wasn't there, but I'll take their word for it, because they were pretty squared away people, and went right back into the bushes. Later on that morning, when they woke back up, they went and collected footprints and tracks and track lines So not only did they see this creature, they observed its hunting activities, but they also correlated that with mutually supporting evidence, which would be several tracks, verifiable tracks, and track lines that were measurable. I do believe they hunt solitarily as well as group hunting, which suggests they have communication strategies as well as a possible language and culture that they exchange amongst each other.
Oh, wow. Now, you've heard these screams, these yells. You had spoke about it before. What are those like?
They run the gamut of different types of sounds. Generally, they're kind of whoops, but I've heard just god-awful screams that last, 3 to 5 minutes without taking a breath that echo off the valleys. I've also, when I was in Eastern Washington, that same place this winter, doing winter research, snow research, one screamed off the top of what's called Martin Ridge down at me and my cousin. It was so loud of a roar that we were probably 5 miles away, and it almost felt like that your pants and your clothes were vibrating. And we think that is called infrasound, which is a not subsonic, but is a lower decibel level than most humans can, their ears can pick up. Hippopotamuses and tigers and lions use that same type of sound structure in order to communicate and stun their prey. So there's parallels within the natural animal kingdom. When you hear it, that it's nothing that you've ever heard in the forest. It is so loud, and it literally vibrates your body with the sound, and it goes on and on and on. So you're wondering if this creature can even take a breath. Now, let me give you another parallel with the orangutans in Borneo. That's how they communicate over long distances, because they're generally a solitary creature. And they can communicate, and you can hear an orangutan scream up to 20 or 30 kilometers away.
Wow.
Now,
So there's parallels.
I'm extremely infrasound sensitive. I'd gone through the tests because, in the research Sean and I do, we have to rule out everything. So I actually was at a place once, and they put infrasound probes on my head and put these little speakers and I sat in the chair, and being exposed to it, all of a sudden I thought my eyes were blindfolded, and I thought people were sitting down next to me. I thought that I was being watched. All this weird stuff that, is inherent to us because, up until, 50,000 or 30,000 years ago, we were living in trees, and when we heard a tiger roar, we knew we better get up in the tree to get away. But this whole aspect with infrasound traveling through for long distances and for communication, also being used in many primates. Do you believe that what we're looking at is an ancestor of Gigantopithecus?
That is one of the prevailing theories, origination theories we call them. I personally don't believe that is the only theory. What I believe and what my research very strongly suggests is that this is a hybrid creature of a relic hominid and a potential hybridization of Gigantopithecus blacki that typically came across the North Sea land bridge or the Beringia land bridge over the last few ice ages. Okay. And the research that we're about to discuss very strongly suggests indeed that it is a hybrid and not a pure Gigantopithecus blacki.
Now, do you believe that the Gigantopithecus and all possible North American apes came over the land bridge? Because prior to the land bridge, we have reports of horses and other animals in the North Americas, and of course, when man showed up and these animals who had never seen man came in contact with them, they all died off really fast because we killed them for food. So is it possible that something might have been here even before the land bridge that Gigantopithecus could have bred with, and that's what we're getting the hybrid from? Because that's dating back only 10,000 years.
Right. Well, there's been several instances. We call them Pliocene, Miocene periods. There's been several ice age periods over the last 100,000 years, not just one. The last one was about 12,500 years ago. And through the research that I've done with the Native American legends, they've described a series of creatures that were apparently about 20 feet tall. They called them the Old Ones, and they were here, according to the ethnographies, before the Indians migrated down approximately 60,000 years ago, and that's been genetically proven as Asiatic, Native Americans, and First Nations Canadians migrated down through those areas, along with the saber-toothed tiger, the North American camel, the short-faced bear. There's a number of them all the way through South America. Right. And they also described a creature that came after them, and they called them the New Ones, which were approximately 6 to 8 feet tall. In my research, we've identified 3 different species based on size, body type, and facial structures. And so, absolutely, anything's possible in science. The question is, are we willing and prepared in order to ask these tough questions rather than go down within, the classified creatures and current dogma and current canon, we call it. And I believe in examining all aspects of any question without prejudice or predisposition. And then wherever the evidence goes, that's where I go. Yeah. And according to my research, we're looking at a hybrid creature.
Mitch, I tell you, May 18th, 1980, major volcanic eruption occurred at Mount St. Helens. And then they had 2 months of series of earthquakes and steam venting and all kinds of stuff. Since then, they had reports from anonymous former National Guardsmen that claimed they seen burnt bodies of Bigfoot, some of them still alive, that it was military cover-up, and all kinds of conspiracies on that and theories. You jump in after Mount St. Helens eruption. How long after until you found the amazing evidence that you found that you're doing your paper on? Let's go right into the paper once you answer that.
Perfect. And that was many years later. I was actually in high school at the time down in Mason County, and so we were very aware of the Mount St. Helens eruption. Very quickly, I did have a few undercover plants from the Department of Fish and Wildlife in my first Bigfoot course that were sent there in order to discredit my research. After the class was over, they sat and talked to me and related a story to me. I didn't check their ID to make sure they were legitimate Fish and Wildlife agents, but they did mention to me off the record that indeed those types of things happened, and there was incidences where unidentified creatures were sighted and weren't burnt. Apparently they were buried, and so the evidence would never be uncovered. But once again, I don't know for sure if they were Fish and Wildlife agents, but they did confirm those stories. My research and these bones were fresh. The bones were found, the first stack by myself in 2013, and the second stack was in the fall of 2014. So these weren't petrified bones. These still had fresh meat attached.
Okay. So we're talking recent.
And absolutely recent. And like I said, they had fresh meat on them. And I found the first stack at the north side of Mount St. Helens up by the Ryan Lake Observatory area in the Mount St. Helens, the edge of the Mount St. Helens Park area in May of 2013 when I was headed up to a lake that doesn't have any trails up to it to do some fishing like I said, in the late spring after the snows had melted. And I strayed off my usual path off to the right about 100 yards and came across what I thought was a bone field that had a significant amount of bones that had laid out in the forest, and including 2 skulls that had been possibly ritualistically placed in a downhill orientation.
Now, hey, and Mitch, not to interrupt, but you said a bone field, brother. Is that from where they say some of the reports after the eruption that the military came through and divided the bones up, like here's steer bones, here's deer bones, was that what you're talking about?
Absolutely not. Those bones would have been chewed up and probably melted into the ground because of the high acidic nature of the soil from the Mount St. Helens blast area. These were current kills, and they looked like they had been, I thought, killed by bears or cougars because, like I said, there was still fresh meat attached to them. So they were very recent. No predator or no scavenger marks at all, which is really wild anyway. And I got to look a little further, and I saw a stack of bones, like something had sat down on a log. This is theoretical because I wasn't able to prove this without extensive research. Something had sat down on a log, theoretically, chewed up some of these deer bones and dropped them between its legs in a pile. And that was really weird because that generally doesn't happen in the forest at all. Scavengers get a hold of them and spread them all over and chew them up and take them down to their burrows or wherever. So you rarely see a bone field that's intact. And to see a bone stack is extremely rare if you ever see anything like that. I did have the Department of Fish and Wildlife take a look at the stacks. I also called the Bigfoot field researchers investigator, Mr. Jeff Robinson, out of Portland, Oregon, and we confirmed through research and through the Department of Fish and Wildlife that indeed there was no currently classified carnivore taxa that would be responsible for that activity except Homo sapien, which would be modern human, or wolverines, which have recently repopulated down from Canada. The research clearly suggests that it wasn't wolverines, based upon the dentition or the tooth marks that were on the bones themselves. And so what we had in essence was either a human being had sat down and chewed on these bones, or it had to be some unexplained carnivore taxa that wasn't currently classified. Based on the tooth size themselves, we were able to eliminate currently Homo sapiens based on the incisor marks of a currently classified human being, which would rate an incisor of 6.5 millimeters to 8.5 millimeters. Our largest bone marks were between 5.33 millimeters and 19.05 millimeters. Jeez. 92% of those measurements were outside of that range, the human Homo sapien range, current contemporary Homo sapien range, with a plus or minus of 5 millimeters of error. So we were able to definitively prove that 92% of those marks were outside the possibilities of current Homo sapien human being possibility. And so that eliminated human beings.
They also ruled out the Wolverines, Sean, because Hugh Jackman had an alibi that night.
Yeah, we ruled out Wolverines, yes.
X-Men. No, but, the thing about this is, with these teeth marks on the bones, why haven't these scientists, CNN, all these people, came down and put their hands? Are they scared? Are they trying to keep this? You got this evidence. What's going on?
It does make me wonder, because you can understand the UFO fears and why the government does cover-ups, but why would they cover up Bigfoot evidence?
It's a very interesting question. I think you're going to have to direct that at some of the top scientists in the world. I think it has to do with prejudice and the stigma that's attached to this research field. That is not the only bone pile we found, and I put together a series of classes at two of the local colleges. The first class was CSI Bigfoot, or Legend Meets Science, and that was patterned after Dr. Jeff Meldrum from Idaho State University. Yeah. He is the foremost authority on Bigfoot research. He's at the Department of Biological Sciences. Two of my students from Lower Columbia College, I'm no longer teaching there, but they found two more stacks of bones on the south side of Mount St. Helens, including footprints and track lines that were very similar to what I had found with giant human teeth marks. So we have, in essence, 3 geographically separated prey bone assemblage sites that all paralleled with giant human teeth marks, to include molar impressions and giant footprints that measured 16 inches by 7 inches by 4.5 inches at the heel. Generally, a human foot, as discussed by NASA in our research, measures 10.76 inches by 3.6 inches at the heel. So we're looking at over 6 inches, 5.5 inches, 5.25 inches roughly over a human footprint size. So we were able also to reconstruct that track line, and the step length was 72 inches and the stride length was 144 inches. The average human step is 31.10 inches as opposed to the bone stacker trace maker, which is 72 inches, over double. The stride of a human being, or Homo sapien, contemporary human, is 62.20 inches. The stride of the bone stacker trace maker was 144 inches, again over double the size. The footprint looked human type, but it was not. Significantly wider, broader, with no longitudinal arch, would suggest a very large and very heavy creature with a stride and step length over double the size of any contemporary modern Homo sapien.
Oh, wow. Now, Mitch,
outside the possibility.
That is amazing. I mean, that's from the teeth marks to the stride to all of it. I mean, it comes together, and it tells you it's not human, or it would to the sane person. Do you believe, in your opinion, because people don't find these bone stacks and with the tooth marks, they don't find them everywhere, like you had said before. You've done this for a long time. You never found them. Do you think Mount St. Helens, the eruption, had caused the Sasquatch population, if indeed that's what it is, to move from a, underground location or cave location and be out in the open? And was that like a breeding area where you found these things, you think?
I don't think so. In all honesty, I think this is just a naturally occurring creature that is populating around the world. There's many sightings in Australia, there's many sightings in Europe, in Russia, Central Asia. Literature all the way back to the ancient Greeks discusses and describes these types of creatures. In the Mount St. Helens area, which has been traditionally known for hundreds of years through the Indians in the last 60 years, through Caucasian ethnography, or white people's research as the Indians call it, it seems to be a hot spot. There's evidence to suggest that they live in caves. There's also evidence to suggest that they live naturally occurring in the forest, that they migrate around to different food sources that are available, just like the Native Americans did. Berries in the spring, salmon in the fall, and deer and elk in the winter, and also eating whatever types of foods and plants, as well as beavers, that they can find along the way. So we're just talking about in my opinion, a naturally occurring creature that has to eat, has to sleep, has to reproduce and communicate. And the Mount St. Helens area seems to be a hot spot for this type of activity historically and contemporaneously. I'm not exactly sure why. Very, very interesting to know why, but those are the facts as we currently know them for sure.
Now, considering there's so many different opinions on the crossing of the land bridge by Homo sapien, whether it was 10,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, and like I said, so many of the animals that were native to this land died off because they'd never seen humans, and humans could walk up with a stick and hit them over the head and kill them. Do you think that that is what may have caused the inherent fear of humans by what we consider to be Bigfoot? And if so, when do you, this is a question from Nitro Jill, when do you think we'll ever actually find one?
Interesting question, Nitro Jill. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer that. And I have to dispute that because the Native American ethnography suggests that they've interacted with this creature, multiple creatures, and all the different tribes from the tip of South America to the tip of Florida all the way to Alaska for hundreds of years in warfare, as well as communicating with them. It hasn't been all bad interaction, but as a researcher, I did a study over 15 different languages and 400 different tribes between the tip of Florida and the tip of Alaska and the Bering Sea. And the top 4 words are cannibal, killer, rapist, and red-eye. And so it's a mixed history. Now, the question is, if they were cannibalizing and killing Native Americans up to a couple hundred years ago, or maybe up to 75 or 80 years ago, the question is, why aren't they doing this to white people or Caucasian, migrations that have come across as we populated this nation? And I am not sure, but the evidence suggests that they are afraid of firearms, and that firearms are the common denominator. And it's been the common denominator in my research as well, firing a round off or clicking the safety off. I would imagine, being as intelligent as they are, that they know exactly what firearms are and what kind of damage that they can do. And so my educated opinion is that the introduction of firearms into their natural occurring ecosystem has played a primary role in why they have pulled back from interacting with Caucasians. My understanding of being part Native American and having many Native American friends is that they still indeed do interact with Native Americans on reservations, to include the Skokomish Reservation down in Mason County as well. And so I'm not sure exactly and cannot definitively say X, Y, or Z, but my educated opinion is the introduction of firearms has been the wild card.
When they do finally find one, where do you think they're going to find it? This is also from Nitro Joe.
That's an interesting question, and I would thank you for asking and giving me the opportunity to answer that. I would say one's just going to walk right out of the forest and it's going to walk right up to somebody and start speaking to them, either in their language or being able to mimic English. My educated opinion is that they know exactly who we are. They know that we're dangerous. We're always trying to take pictures of them or shoot at them or run them down, and they are not interested in communicating with us, in interacting with us in that fashion. And these are all educated opinions, obviously. I think when we go to places like Bigfoot City that we're under surveillance immediately when we go into their territory. They wait till it gets night and they sneak up on you and do what's called a threat assessment to determine if you're hunters, if you're firearms, if you have firearms, if you're shooting and shining bright lights at every little crack and bush in the forest. And they understand that. And a lot of times they'll sneak up on your camp at night and rummage through your stuff to see probably if you're stealing their food. You don't see any hunters out in the forest at night unless they're poachers. Right. And so that's when we do our research. Total blackout, deep in the mountains, in the forest, and they have to sneak up on you really close to do that threat assessment. And I think that's part of the self-illuminating eye strategy, is as a communication device when they're unsure. That's part of the reason I wear a sniper suit when I'm up there and roll around in the swamp mud, because I want to look like a hairy, dirty creature. And I actually even use red filtered lights that I can click off and on, small military lights, to try to, with a little filter screen over it, to try to simulate those type of eye structures in order to get them even closer and closer and closer, because they have the same weakness that we have, curiosity.
Yeah. And we'll know when they, I'm not making light of this at all, but I got to throw this in, guys. When the Bigfoot does show itself to the human race, we'll know because the rise in adult diaper sales will go through the roof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mitch. You're the first one to laugh at. I appreciate it. Hey, man, I know we're running over on time. I said 30 minutes. We've kept you for about 45 because this could be a 14-day event on this show. But I want to know, where are we going to go with this evidence? Because first time in forever, there's actually something here on the table that could bring light to Bigfoot. Where we go from now? Where do we go from here?
Perfect. Let me give you a quick, 30-second breakdown. We have 7 scientifically confirmed human mastication strategies, or human chewing strategies, to include rib peeling, which is a macro level. It's classic, general, and incipient. We also have a double arch tooth load molar impression. We also have a triangular premolar impressions and shallow inner scoring marks. Those are all 7 scientifically confirmed, situated clearly and accurately in the data. We also have a 7th, which is mamelons, which was a juvenile that was chewing on one of the sites that has protuberances in the front of your teeth, like little steak marks. They start when you're about 12 years old and are wore down by 17. And this is the interesting part. We have an 8th one called shovel-shaped incisors, which we haven't positively confirmed. That's a Neanderthal tooth structure, or a relic hominid structure that apparently was absorbed into the human or Homo sapien gene pool around 12,500 years ago. So we have interlocking and mutually supporting evidence across many different scientifically confirmed dental arch structures and dental incisor sizes, to include canine measurements and bite radiuses. Where we go from here is this. We are currently in the process of eliminating all of the chaff in the paper. I put everything in there because I wanted everybody to know every detail. I've contacted over 32 PhDs, actively teaching PhDs, to help me rewrite this paper and to get it ready for scientific peer-reviewed publication, including Dr. Jeff Meldrum, who's contacted me and he's given me permission to give his name, to put together a rewrite, and he's going over all of my references and helping me put this together in a proper class scientific format so we can get this thing published. I'm ready, willing, and able to demonstrate the science on this, offer the bone samples, which we have a ton of, to any scientist anywhere in the world at any time. I will go head-to-head with them, and we will re-examine every piece of evidence to confirm every I and every dot and every cross T. I know one thing for sure. The evidence is clear. It's side by side. It's correctly situated in the literature, and we stand ready at this minute to meet anybody anywhere in the world and demonstrate this accurate science. It's that simple.
Well, that's it. To the scientific community, the challenge is dropped. That's it, right?
That's it. We're ready, willing and able. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to try to keep ignoring us because of the stigma attached. If we get this paper published, we may not. Who knows? That would be on them. But I know for a fact that these scientific dentition structures, or avulsion-attributed injuries, as the scientific community calls them, are accurate. They're repeatable. They're verifiable. And that's the definition of correct and proper science, is to accept that, to understand that, and to offer it to anybody, anywhere, for free. To try to discredit our conclusions, it's not going to happen. We're ready and willing and able to go, anytime, any place. And we'll bring the bones. They don't lie. No tool marks, other teeth marks, no fire damage, no arrow marks. This is an unclassified hominin, not ape, not relic hominid, in my opinion, or potentially could be, but definitely a hominin based on the tooth structure and tooth size impressions.
And just to give people a little glimpse here, considering the graph you sent us regarding human to unclassified humanoid size, we're talking the difference between an average height of a human male, 5'9", to this unclassified humanoid being 8'8".
That is correct, and we measured that off the foot length and stride and step length. NASA did the calculations, and they come out approximately 8 foot 8 inches tall, based on the confirmed evidence that we have. That's verifiable and available for any scientist or anybody in the world. And that's the important thing that your listeners need to understand. We're not making any money. We offer this for anybody, anytime, anywhere, free of charge.
Well, that sounds like us,
That
Sean.
important.
Yeah.
That important.
Well, I tell you what, Mitch, you're doing amazing things, brother, and you're the only one out there that has something on the table right now. And for science to not step up and jump on this, I just think it's a weak sign of where we're heading if they don't grab this.
I agree, and there's not all of them. Like I said, Dr. Jeff Meldrum from Idaho State University, Department of Biological Sciences, the foremost authority on Bigfoot in the entire world, has stepped up and has given us direction and is helping us rewrite this into a format that we hope the scientific community can accept. We don't use the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch in the paper intentionally because we want to give a door for mainstream scientists to be able to walk through without risking their careers. And if this thing holds up, and we know it will, we're 100% confident, then we would love to see Dr. Meldrum have the honor of classifying this species. He's earned it.
Right.
We are just the messenger, and I want to be very clear to the audience. I don't have a PhD in anthropology. I have a world-class education in education and technology, but we came across an opportunity, and we've done our very best in order to get this material in a way that mainstream science can walk through the door without risking their careers and their reputations.
Well, that's it. Hey, Mitch, where can our listeners maybe go and help push this along? Call out the scientific community with you and say, you need to check this guy's stuff out. Is there any place like that? Website?
I am not sure. I would contact, to your listeners out there, I tell you this, go online, go to the top anthropology universities and departments in the world, in the country, and then send them the information. Send them the links to our paper and say, what is your comment on this research? Are you aware of this? What is your comment? Are you interested in meeting with these people in a public format and going over this data step by step? That's what it's going to take, is to get a group of world-class scientists together. We'll show up with the bones, the data, all of our pictures, and we'll do a public examination for the whole world to see. It's that simple.
That's amazing, brother. Nathan, you got anything else for Mitch?
One last question from Jill, Sean. She wants to know when Mitch is going to take you and I hominin hunting.
Yes, when, Mitch.
Guys, I have an open invitation. I take groups of college students out there. We have a communication strategy that's approximately 98% effective. We ring the dinner bell, and they come on down. And bring your adult diapers because you're going to need them.
Hey, that's it. Mitch, where can our listeners find out more about you, get a hold of you, ask questions, whatnot?
Perfect. I'm online all over the place. You can get a hold of me at Mitchel.Townsend at localaccess.com. It's also, my email is on the front page of the report for contact information. And by all means, I've been getting calls and email messages from all over the world to relate their information. And bone stacks are quite common. We just never understood what they were and what types of information were contained within the structures of this physiomorphology. It's there, and now that I'm getting the word out, people are becoming aware of what this evidence is. It's not that we don't see it, it's just people don't understand what it is and what the information and the story that's on the bones. Bottom line, the bones don't lie.
That's it. Nathan, what do you say we close out the show?
It's gonna be hard, Sean.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Okay, we'll do it.
Wow, guys. All right, let's close out the show. Mitch, can you stay on the line 1 second, sir?
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys, and all your listeners out there. Hey, guys, this is all about you. Step up, go out in the forest, look for bone stacks, let me know, and I'll get out there and we'll take a look at them. It's for all of us.
It's for all of us. You're right,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
That's it.
I am
Hey guys, special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you listening? They want to know, so check them out at actionaudioapps.com. Midnight Syndicate, Creative Commons, Free Music Archives. Thanks for the tunes. From the haunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive G&D Show interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter.
Because we love you.
Night, guys.